Mariners lose 3-1. They fall to 75-57, which is a palindrome. If numbers can be palindromes, I think they can. And they've evened the series against the A's at a game apiece. Go over the scoring plays real quick. There's not a whole heck of a lot of them. Seth Brown homers to right in the first. Shane Langoliers slaughters a home run to score Jordan Diaz in the second. Both of those off Luke Weaver. We'll talk about why Luke Weaver is pitching in just a moment. And then the fourth, the Mariners do get one on a Cade Marlowe walk. That's it. Oakland is fine with that. They end up winning. Seattle not fine with that. Lose for the first time in 4 games. Before we get into the negatives and the positives, not a whole lot of positives, but there are a couple. Let's thank the good people of Simply Seattle for sponsoring this show and tell you that they have everything that you're looking for as a Seattle sports fan. Hats, shirts, hoodies, cups. I just got this beautiful Supersonics tumbler. Love that thing. Please, NBA, bring them back ASAP. I miss them. Anything you could be looking for as a Seattle sports fan. And they've got some other great stuff too. Grey's Anatomy stuff. Just Simply Seattle stuff. Hey, Simply Seattle. Hey, that's a pretty good name, company. And you can use code MOLLYWOP15 to save 15% off of your order. That's MOLLYWHOP15. And all you have to do is go to www.simplyseattle in order to find the very best in Seattle sports gear. Thank you, Simply Seattle. All right. There's not a whole heck of a lot of positives about this game. I want to give a shout out, though, to the Mariner crowd. I was not at the game, but I did have the volume on. Listen to my good buddy. He doesn't even know who I am, but Aaron Goldsmith. I think Aaron Goldsmith is just absolutely fantastic, and I think him and Blowers have such excellent chemistry. But I was impressed with that crowd, man. It's a Tuesday. It's the middle of August. I realize the Mariners have been playing exceptionally well, but you're facing one of the worst rosters ever constructed, and to have that type of crowd certainly helped that they had a nice little promotion going on. I get that. But those people were there to get going, and it's exciting to see that. Not always great midweek crowds in Seattle, Washington. It's understandable why. It's hard. A lot of baseball teams struggle to draw crowds in midweek. But they were rocking tonight. Good for you, Seattle. Good for you. It was a lot of fun to hear you cheering, even when there wasn't a whole heck of a lot to cheer about. The bullpen was really good tonight. Isaiah Campbell pitched well. Matt Brash pitched well. Trent Thornton gave you 2 innings. Saucedo gave you an inning. Nobody gives up a run. Keeps you in the game. I think they only allowed 2 hits. There wasn't a ton of strikeouts. Matt Brash gets 1, Thornton gets 1, and Campbell gets 1. So, yeah, all of 3 strikeouts in this game. Weird to see in 2023. But they pitched really well. Took advantage of the aggressiveness. And the nice thing is here, Campbell, Brash, Thornton, Saucedo, all should be available for tomorrow. Maybe in an emergency situation for a couple of them, especially playing an afternoon game. But they pitched well. They kept you in the game. It's very nice to see. Matt Brash threw one of the nastiest sliders I've ever seen. You're going to see a gif of that pitch he threw that basically was the equivalent of a AI crossover on Tony Kemp's ankles. It was just disgusting. It was really nice to see. Offensively, Crawford reaches 3 times. Did anybody? Oh, Mike Ford reaches twice. We'll talk about why he was in the game as well. Marlowe has a couple of nice at-bats, but also strikes out a couple of times. I'm still impressed with the process that Cade Marlowe's showing at the plate, even when the results aren't there. There are a lot of strikeouts here, but there are a lot of strikeouts, it seems, on full counts or 2-2 pitches and some battling going on. Be really curious to see where he ranks in terms of pitches per plate appearance, because it sure seems like he has an awful lot of long at-bats. The biggest negative is everything that happens before the game. So you probably already know, but right before the start of the game, well, let's go in chronological order. About an hour before the game, George Kirby scratched with illness. Apparently couldn't get to sleep the night before. Sounds like this is just a one-off. He's not being pushed to the next day. They're going to skip his turn in the rotation. Okay. Not my favorite, but, you know, they're taking precaution. That's fine. And the big thing here is it's great that it's not arm. It's great that it's not back or elbow or anything along those lines. It's just illness. I don't want George Kirby to be sick. It's a miserable feeling to be sick. But you know what I'm saying. Like the long-term ramifications as well as the short term. It's certainly better that he has an illness, assuming it's not, COVID-19 or something worse, obviously. But you know what I mean. It's nice to see here that it sounds like it's just a one-off. But then 10 minutes or so before the game, maybe even sooner, Julio is scratched with left foot soreness. Yikes. Here's hoping this is a short-term thing because, I don't even have to say it, right? He is so vital to your roster, both as an offensively, like as hot of a hitter as there is in baseball, in terms of what he provides with the glove, in terms of what he provides on the bases. I think you saw how much you miss a player like Julio Rodriguez tonight. I would be disappointed isn't the right word, but I would be scratching my head if he plays tomorrow. Give him another night off. You get a couple days off, then you get Thursday off as well because it's a travel day. Let that guy rest. He's earned it. He's earned it. It certainly sucks to not have him in your lineup. But you got to think about the long term with Julio, not just the long term in terms of like 2025, 2026, that stuff. I'm not sure why I skipped 2024, but it's important for the long term of the season. You have to have that guy in the lineup. And if taking a couple days off, if taking a step back is going to help him take a few steps forward, more than a few steps forward, so be it. You got to deal with it. That's obviously going to be between Scott Service, Julio Rodriguez, and some other folks. But yeah, here's hoping he's back. And then you lose Ty France with I believe it was a left wrist contusion, a bad throw, hits him square in the wrist. Mike Ford has to take over. Ty France isn't great, but you just don't have a whole heck of a lot of depth. You need him in the lineup. He's better than the alternatives. I want him playing over Mike Ford. Good for Mike Ford for reaching twice today, by the way. One of them on an absolutely did not mean to type of thing. But hey, good for you. We'll take any results we can out of him. And then the negatives on the field. Look, Luke Weaver was bad. It's nice that he was able to get into the fourth inning. He's just not a starting pitcher on a playoff team. He just isn't. And I think we saw that tonight against a dreadful Oakland team. Gives up 7 hits. He doesn't strike out anybody. I don't even recall a swing and miss. Now, he probably did, and I'm just not remembering it because that game started 4 hours ago. But he was bad. And I don't think it will be his last start as a Mariner. Not because of George Kirby. I think Kirby should be able to go. But at some point, you're just going to have to use a 6th starter again. And that's probably Luke Weaver. And here's hoping that it's a rematch with Oakland or something like that. Because he's just not a very good pitcher. He's fine in relief where he can go max effort. You saw what he can do in max effort against a bad team like the White Sox. But as a starter where he's got to be, cognizant of pitch count and making sure hitters see multiple looks and all that crap, he's not good. Not good. It was really extremely unimpressed with what I saw from him tonight. And I was also extremely unimpressed what I saw from this offense tonight. Teoscar gets 1 hit, but has a couple of awful at-bats. Raleigh draws 1 walk. Awful at-bats outside of that. Actually just missed a homer, but it was a pitch that was outside of the strike zone. Canzone bad. Marlowe bad. Although Marlowe, he does draw the walk and he does get the RBI. The results just aren't there for him right now. But the at-bats still look pretty good. He gets to the full counts and stuff so often, sooner or later, the results are going to come for Marlowe. I'm not saying you play him over Kelnick when he's healthy. I'm not saying you obviously don't play him over Teoscar or Julio. But I think there's been a lot of glimpses of good with Marlowe, even when the results aren't there. Two guys in particular I want to single out, not in a good way. Eugenio Suarez makes a couple of nice defensive plays. Horrific game at the plate. And in late inning situations, too. Maybe there's something about, no. I was going to make a bad Julio joke, but in the 8th inning, nobody on, but, it's a 3-1 game. You're facing Danny Jimenez, and you get a 40 grade breaking ball down the middle of the plate and swing through it. Yuck. And then in the 9th inning, so Josh Rojas pinch hits, drops in a single. JP Crawford stings a double down the left field side, down the left field line, excuse me. Got runners on second and third, and you've got Suarez up to bat. Trevor May on the mound. And May just throws 3 fastballs by him. There are a couple pitches in between. And he did foul off a couple. But he got worked. Suarez has to be better. Suarez has to be a lot better than that. But tonight wasn't the night. And Jose Caballero, I think you got to start playing Rojas against lefties. I get it. The platoon stuff. Everybody wants to be the Tampa Bay Rays. And some of this is working out awfully well. You don't go, I think they've won 25 of 32 now. Some of this is working awfully well. And you look at the 359 on base percentage and you'll say, what are you talking about, Chris? Caballero's been a find. I don't completely disagree with you. But he gets beaten on at bat so bad, and he really hurt the Mariners tonight, particularly in the 4th inning. Ken Waldichuk has walked 3 batters in the inning. He just walked Cade Marlowe to force in a run. It's a 2-0 count. And Marlowe swings at the next pitch, gets jammed, and flies out meekly. That can't happen. You have to take a strike there. And if you don't take a strike there, you better get a hit. That was their best chance to truly get back in this game. Other than the 9th, they did have that. The Mariners do draw 6 walks in this game. But 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. And that at bat, particularly from Caballero, was wretched. I want Josh Rojas in the lineup. I'm fine with Caballero being a bench guy. Pinch hitting late situations. Okay. Josh Rojas is your second baseman right now. This is such an excusable loss. You have won something like 11 of 12 coming into today. 4 straight. You have gone 8-0 against Oakland coming into tonight. You just had your starting pitcher scratched, your best player scratched, one of your best players, and certainly one of your regulars anyway, leave in the 3rd inning. It's very justifiable to lose. And I can't tell you how many times I've said they're going to lose games. And obviously, they've lost 57 of them. And they're going to lose more games down the stretch. But this one was irksome. Is that a word? Because they looked lifeless. And I can kind of get it. Because of everything that's happened. You're facing such a crappy team. It's a Tuesday night. It does happen. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating. And unfortunately, it's a lot easier to harp on 20 minutes after a single game when you're doing a daily show. I can understand losing. I can even understand losing and looking bad. But I'm frustrated by it. I don't want to say the effort, but I think you know what I mean. They didn't look like they were having very much fun playing today. That's disappointing because that's to say that they've looked like they've had fun over this last month of August, in particular. Wow. So tomorrow afternoon game, and you've got Bryce Miller against Zach Neal. Zach Neal, a very cool story. Just picked up his first win in like 7 years or something like that, but not a good pitcher. Mariners should score a lot of runs, whether Julio's in the lineup or not. And unfortunately, too, you don't get any help from the Boston Red Sox, who lose to Houston. You don't get any help for the New York Mets, who score all of one run against the Texas Rangers. You do get help from the Nationals, though. Nationals beat the Blue Jays 5-4. So that's nice. It's not a lock that this team is going to the postseason. It's becoming really likely. But we're not settling for just a postseason here, folks. We really want to win that division. And there's now a 3-way tie by percentage points. And it's very worth pointing out, Mariners have the tiebreaker over the Astros, and they actually they control their destiny. Not only in that way, they control their destiny because the Mariners play 2 more games than Houston down the stretch. So a chance to build on that as well. But they don't control their destiny against the Rangers. Rangers went 5-1 on them earlier in the year. So you got to play really well down the stretch if there's going to be a tie. So you'd have to go 5-1 to even that. So you better be ahead of Texas. You better be ahead of Texas indeed. Didn't like this one very much. Please still hit like and subscribe. Want to say thank you again for helping me reach 1,000 followers. It's 1,000 followers. I guess it's a follow. 1,000 subscribers so soon. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. Hopefully the Mariners will play better down the stretch, so even more of you will be interested in this. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB, Sports Sometimes Podcast, Sportstopia Fantasy Fire and Ice Podcast, and the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast as well. Would really appreciate everybody checking all 3 of those out. Here's hoping they play a lot better tomorrow.